Welcome to the Investment Insider. In today's video, David Hunter discusses the Federal Reserve's monetary policy and how the Fed is trying to seize money.
For a long time, with rates so low, there was the ability for homeowners to refi, pull money out of their home, and have spending power that didn't mean they were building their credit card balances up. And because their home prices were going up, they said, "Hey, I'm just taking some of the equity out of my house to do things." And now with rates where they are, there's hardly any and probably no refi activity at all. That's a huge drain of liquidity that had previously helped the economy. So those are the things I mean. And then the other tightening really isn't the bond market. It's the big run up in gasoline prices and home heating oil prices. So that was another tax on consumers that really the Fed has to account for, because it does take money out of the consumer's pocket, and money that might have otherwise gone to going out to dinner, buying new furniture, what have you. People are saying, I'm just getting by. I'm doing what I can to get by. And frankly, with the run up in credit card balances of late, I think they're not even getting by. They're finding they have to, they've drained their savings. Savings is down at sharply lower levels than it was the last couple of years. And now they're turning to their credit cards because it's costing, the cost of living's gone up so fast. So while I understand the Fed's focus on that cost of living and saying we got to get inflation down, it's hitting the consumer, they also have to realize the other aspects of what that cost of living has done. We're going to see, their whole goal is to basically have demand destruction and bring inflation down. That's the way the Fed can control inflation or have any impact on inflation. But they have to understand that you're going to see maybe a lot more demand destruction than you're counting on. And by the time you see it, if you wait for that, you've gone way past the time when you can turn this thing back up and have a soft landing. So that's the crux of the problem. Is I think the Fed is at risk of creating a hard landing here because, as I say, they don't really understand the leads and lags to their policy. Right. When you see them operating on the basis of a consumer price index that jumped up to 9% a couple weeks ago, and they're making a determination on rates 2 weeks, 3 weeks later based on that number, they're operating on to determine policy for tomorrow's economy. That's not the best way to go. You really, as an economist, should be looking forward, and I'm just not convinced that they do enough of that. The Fed's got a tough job on their hands. We had inflation break out in the last year to levels we haven't seen in 40 years. They kind of slow walked it initially and thought it was transitory. So all of a sudden in January, when it really started heating up, they had to play catch up, and they've been playing catch up ever since. I have probably a little bit different view than a lot of people, and I've been a Fed watcher for all of my 49-year career. And I've seen all the various Fed makeups, through that time, and Fed chairman. I've had a mixed review on Powell over his career, over his time here in the chair. Back in 2018, I was really critical of him. He was fairly early on in that role, and he made some blunders, and the market sold off because of some of that. But more than that, it was showing that his inexperience at that time. Fast forward to March of 2020, and he stepped right up to the plate and did the job he had to do to save the system when we're shutting down the entire economy. So I gave him plaudits for acting quickly and decisively. You're not going to be perfect when you're in that kind of environment, but he did a good job. And then now, certainly these last few months, I fear he's doing what he has to do in terms of you can't ignore the inflation. You've got to tighten. So I agree with all that. But some of his rhetoric and their kind of long runway for tightening and things I think is showing that he does not really understand the magnitude of the risk that is out there. I feel they are over tightening. And frankly, it's funny to say that because they really are. They've only hiked a few times. They're still way under what the market is in terms of market rates. But the market did the tightening for him, and I'm not sure he understands that.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.